Known as City Beautiful, by Thursday morning, Orlando became another Florida city underwater.
We went to bed and everything was fine. We woke up, I walked out and I said, the lake has swallowed the road.
The aftermath of Hurricane Ian here spared little.
I've never seen the water this high.
You've never seen it. This is Lake Eola.
This is Lake Eola plus.
Streets became lakes. This flooded road in downtown's iconic Lake Eola, stunning even long-term residents here.
We've been here 50 years. This lake has never flooded since I've been here.
Some drivers made it through.
Oh my God. Oh my God, what are people doing?
Others barely made it out.
I wanted to go up the hill because I figured getting away from the water would be best, but it was worse.
Among the most telling images of the water damage left behind,
Wow, oh my gosh.
we could only capture by going on the water.
I've been in this area for about 13 years. They had flooding in 2017 when it came through, but not as high as this was. One can't walk.
With the National Guard in tow, strike teams from Orange County's Fire Rescue took us inside this neighborhood on the west side of the city. Homes destroyed, cars submerged, and residents desperate to get out, grabbed only what their hands could hold.
The whole house is flooded. The cars, everything. Like, we don't have nothing left.
All right, let's rock and roll.
Hundreds of people,
I wasn't expecting this.
men, women, and children rescued.
Water was in your home?
Oh boy,
Really?
it built up during the night.
Taken to higher ground
It came all the way up to the door.
from water that just wouldn't break.
You okay? You sure?
Here in Central Florida, Ian's biggest threat to the region was always flooding.
Good.
It took only hours for that threat to become a real-life battle. Katie Lagrone reporting in Orlando. It's just after 11 a.m. Friday morning.
You see the pictures, but to be here in person,
Up until now, Amy Crowley had only seen the devastation of Sanibel Island on TV.
it's inexplicable until you go and see it for yourself.
Today, she and her father will see it firsthand,
It's literally right on the other side.
along with what's left of her home there. We're with them. Getting to this point has taken days of phone calls and coordination.
There you go.
Boats are limited, demand high.
Yeah.
Captain James Duvier, owner of Sunset Ski and Water Sports, has given free rides to so many already.
Good luck, guys. Be safe.
Hundreds. Yes, hundreds.
It's his way of helping.
Florida's been really good to us. We're trying to pay it forward.
All right, well, I don't know if that bridge is safe.
We make it to the island before noon.
Oh my gosh.
Our trek on foot begins.
I know this nothing looks familiar.
Buildings, street signs, any familiar markers that once provided a compass and some comfort are gone
We just need to find the road.
or unrecognizable.
They said it's right down here.
The sea of debris is quite literally everywhere.
Everything's in ruins. That helmet, kid's helmet, could be mine.
Along the way, an Army Humvee
Thank you for your service. Thank you guys.
and an unexpected visit from U.S. soldiers. Yes, this is a different kind of war on a different kind of battlefield. But with so many homes and ruins on the island, protection is needed around the clock.
What does Sanibel mean to you? I grew up going to Fort Myers every year. That was where we went on vacation. Now that I have kids of my own, I wanted to share in those same memories.
We arrive on her street. Her home,
Water came right up under the...
still standing.
This is crazy right here. What do you even do with that?
Roughly 10 feet of water damage has taken its toll. The bottom floor and the pool deck are nearly destroyed. Doors ripped out from hinges, the flat screen
Yep.
screened no more. But through all of Ian's fury here,
Door to walk in.
upstairs we see its forgiveness.
Untouched.
How do you explain it?
I feel like I'm actually in a different world right now.
Maybe you can't. Maybe you never will.
You also kind of feel a little bit of like guilt.
Because on Sanibel Island,
This is like amazing.
whether your home is still standing or reduced to rubble,
It's like hard to even explain.
there simply are no words.
All things considered, this is an absolute blessing.
Outside the U.S. Border Patrol station in Marathon Key,
I'm picking up my nephew.
we met Omar Karkachi.
How did he get here?
He got by it rough.
He hasn't seen his nephew in more than 20 years.
He called me from this office. Hey, uncle, I'm here. Where are you at? I'm here in Marathon.
What did you think?
I say, oh, my goodness.
His nephew among hundreds of Cuban migrants who have landed in the Florida Keys in just the last month. Incidents of people making the treacherous journey by sea and landing on dry ground here illegally are up more than 450% since October of last year, many of them coming from nearby Haiti and Cuba.
No food, no power line, no nothing. Nothing. That's no life. Most of them, they say, I'd rather die trying to get to the freedom than still living here in Cuba. It's very sad.
It's a dangerous voyage to freedom, overwhelming federal agents across South Florida.
It's the heaviest migrant traffic that I've ever encountered.
It's been a very busy 24 hours here.
We're both from Marathon.
For 2 days, we were granted exclusive access to the round-the-clock battle, from stopping migrants at sea before they land.
Why do you want to come here? In Cuba? Nada en Cuba.
To the multi-agency response when they make it to dry ground.
25 migrants appear to all be Cuban. Looks like all from Havana, Cuba.
In just a 24-hour period we were there, Border Patrol responded to a dozen different landings throughout the Keys alone.
Are you happy to be here?
Bueno, no me lo creo.
Huh?
This 22-year-old woman from Cuba agreed to speak with us on camera and explained she's seeking opportunity and work in America. After 3 days on the water in this rickety homemade boat with mechanical issues, the people she came with, visibly exhausted, some shoeless, are patted down for drugs, weapons, then loaded into government vans, where they'll be taken north to Marathon and processed here at the U.S. Border Patrol's main station in the Keys. It's been nonstop.
Every surge has its own challenges.
Peter Daniel is the patrol agent in charge.
I think we're doing everything we can right now.
He grants our cameras limited access inside the station where people who land here illegally are processed.
This is the intake area where we make sure that the migrants are properly fitted for clothing that fits them, that's dry and clean.
Storage bins of non-perishable food and drinks are also on hand. We notice packages of diapers, formula, even car seats.
Do you get a lot of babies, a lot of children?
We've taken in migrant families before with younger children, yes.
We walk a little further to what's known as the detention cell area, where each person is held in a group holding cell, men and women separated. We weren't allowed to videotape the cells, but migrants can spend up to 72 hours here while they're ID'd, fingerprinted, and background checked.
You guys could know within minutes if this person has
Absolutely.
a nefarious background.
Yes, ma'am.
And what happens if they do?
If they do, then the processing will take a different turn. Instead of administratively, we'll pursue the criminal charge.
For migrants who are not sent back to their country immediately, they can be transferred to a federal detention facility or released to family while their legal case moves through the U.S. courts.
I lived in Cuba for 34 years. I never was free.
Which brings us back to Omar.
When I put a foot in this country, I feel the freedom right there.
Who describes his own perilous trek on water.
And we're here in 1994, 4 people died, 2 marriages, 2 guys and their wife, and 1 10-year-old boy.
The memory still hard 3 decades later.
They screaming, I don't want to talk about that. That's a nightmare for me. I still have nightmare with that.
But today, he says, is a good day.
Wow. I'm very excited, man. Wow. I'm so emotional. He was like this when the last time I saw him.
After a few anxious moments,
he's big.
He spots his nephew.
¿Qué te pasa en los ojos?
Their emotional reunion perhaps best describes the complexities of the nation's current immigration system. The debates.
The more that come, the harder it is on us.
And what's at stake if nothing?
These migrant trips are incredibly dangerous.
Or everything.
These are all human lives.
Why do you want to be here in America?
¿Por qué quiere estar aquí en Estados Unidos?
Changes.
Ayudar a mi familia. Help his family, his son, his wife.
For us, it's a border security mission.
The house had 2 water supplies. Have to give it water to get water. My name is Clifton Lewis.
My name is Chuck Warren.
I'm the founding president of the Neighborhood Improvement Corporation of Bartow, Inc.
I'm one of the board members of the L.B. Brown House.
The historic L.B. Brown House.
Here's an important story when Clifton first realized that this house had some real significant historical value.
We're in Bartow, Florida, at the home of the L.B. Brown house. Lawrence Brown was born in 1856 near Gainesville, Florida.
He was born into slavery, freed at the age of 9 at the end of the Civil War.
He remained in the Gainesville area with his parents and worked on a farm until sometime in the mid-1870s, when he moved just east of Orlando, a little community known as DeLand, Florida. While he was there, he built at least 9 rental dwellings in the DeLand area. It was around 1885. Brown moved to Polk County, as a lot of other folks had done.
When he came to Bartow, it was a time when phosphate had been discovered and the trains had just come in to this area. So a lot of people were flocking to Bartow. It was a growing city.
This was the back door, for example, to Brown's workshop. He purchased at least 2 acres of land initially and started building little rental houses. We estimate he built perhaps 40 or 50 houses in East Bartow, called the Parlor area. He also had a business where he did a lot of different things, such as repairing umbrellas, silvering mirrors, digging wells, selling Bibles, and so forth. He was a sort of an everyman. If there was a need for something, L.B. Brown tried to provide that need.
He had the kind of personality, and he was comfortable around white people. And just don't forget that after the Civil War, many white people did not like the idea of blacks being free. And he was still able to be someone who was involved in the community and worked with and did business with white men as well as black men. So the last chapter is called A Living Legacy. I'm also the author of a book about Lawrence Brown and his life, From Slavery to Community Builder. Those words are on his tombstone.
Ledger books that his son Robert gave to us.
He wondered if it would be cheaper to go to the butcher shop and get his meat, or if it would be cheaper to raise his own. 1 year, 2 months, and 22 days is how long he had the pig.
His brother Joe owed him $40, and he said, get it from Joe and give it to your mother.
Things about home and being a good husband, appreciating your wife.
Once you've paid me $45, I will apply that $45 as your down payment, and you can become a homeowner.
A woman's tongue is a sword, and she'll not let it rust. I don't know if he was having a hard time with his wife that day, but he wrote those 2 comments.
26 haircuts for 1 year for $2.50. I'm a lover of history in general, and when I first saw the house in 1989, 1990, it was abandoned. Our nonprofit that we had just started needed a place to meet, an office space.
When Clifton started restoring the house, Lakeland Ledger, the local newspaper, heard of the story and decided it would make a good story. At this time, Robert Brown, Lawrence Brown's youngest child, lived in New York. And Robert Brown saw the story and he thought, well, who are these people that are restoring this house that I lived in? So he flew down to Florida and he met Clifton. During one of his visits to the house, Lawrence and Annie's youngest child, Robert, commented to Clifton Lewis, when my father built this house. Stunned, Lewis asked Robert to repeat what he had just said. Oh yes, my dad built this house. That moment was when Clifton knew that this was much more than just an old house. It was built by a former slave.
Stumbling upon the story of L.B. Brown was just an inspiration. It sort of caused my spirit to soar.
But when you think about it, just that 5 seconds in history, just those 5 seconds, if that hadn't have happened, you and I wouldn't be talking about this house at this point. Nobody would know the history. He was an example of how we should be living today. I think that may be his legacy.
I think what it should say to young people is that look at what L.B. Brown overcame. Born in slavery, born with nothing, and having no formal education, yet becoming a highly successful entrepreneur. And so that legacy for young people is that if he could do it, my God, I can do it too.